Today we're gonna open something new. This is so exciting because we haven't used this before. So I want to share with you guys what we got and what we're gonna try to do with it. And this is from Botanical Colors. They are a natural dye company. And we got Saxon Blue liquid. This is a form of indigo that was made for protein fibers, and I think it was made in the 1700s. It's actual indigo, but it has been treated with some type of sulfuric acid, I believe, to turn it into sort of a cross between a natural dye and an acid dye. So it works a little differently than either fresh indigo or the indigo vat, and we wanted to see what it would be like. So come along and we will try it out. So for our first test, I have 4 skeins of pure merino that have already been dyed with some colors on them. So these have cochineal and then fustic and weld. And originally I dyed them like this because I wanted to put them in copper, and the copper should turn the pink into a deeper purple, and it should turn the yellows into a green, and the white undyed portions will be more like an aqua color. Then when we got the Saxon Blue, Sarah and I started talking about why not make it into a full experiment. And so we'll take 2 of these and over dye them in copper, and then we will take the other 2 and over dye them in Saxon Blue. And so we'll be able to see the different colors that come from those 2 different treatments, and we will also test light fastness. So stay tuned. Here we have the Saxon Blue. So we're gonna put that in the dye pot over here. Make sure it all gets in there. Look how pretty that is. Oh my gosh. We have copper sulfate at the same percentage. Wow, look how different those 2 blues are. So we're going to take 2 of our skeins that have already been dyed with cochineal, fustic, and weld. And we'll put that into the Saxon Blue. Now with the Saxon Blue, it says that we need to heat it for about 30 minutes at a low temperature and then bring it up for 30 minutes. I don't expect it to do much right away. And again, we have the skeins already dyed with some cochineal, fustic, and weld. And these are going in copper sulfate. And it also doesn't change right away. So we will come back in a little while. Here we are at 30 minutes. So at this point, the Saxon Blue will not be done, but now is the time that we're gonna turn up the temperature. But let's look at it and stir it around a little first. Okay. Not much going on in there. We'll see how the heat does. You can see that there's blue water in there, but it hasn't done anything to our yarn. Now is the copper one. This has been in here for half an hour. It should be pretty close. The pure merino does take longer, and it is not purple and green. It is still purple and pink and yellow. All right, well, we're just going to keep heating that one too. Here we are again, 30 minutes later, and the Saxon Blue should be done. Let's see if it is. Nope. Oh my goodness. It is not, it didn't take at all. There's still color in there, so it says that we should add some vinegar keep simmering it and let it sit overnight. So that's what we're gonna do for that one. All right, copper. Not quite. It is much darker, but that yellow is not green. Okay, well, we will let this cool and see if that changes later. Well, that's the bummer. But we're gonna do plan B and see if it makes a difference. So it's the next day, and we have our Saxon Blue in this one, and we have the copper in this one. So let's see if they turned purple and green. Well, I see purple and kind of green. The fustic and the copper makes kind of an olive green, and the cochineal and the copper does turn purple. So this came out mostly like I expected. I thought this might be a little more green. There's still quite a bit of yellow in there. So that is our first set. And this is the one that has the Saxon Blue. Nope, not much change at all. So the cochineal still looks pretty pink. And this was 3% Saxon Blue. So it was definitely a lighter blue, but it shouldn't be this light. So you can barely see. This would have been cream colored yesterday, but this is still looking pretty pink compared to the copper one. So this did not work the way I thought it would. So what we're going to try today is to do undyed yarn. It's been allumed, and we're going to put it in 5% Saxon Blue, and we're going to see how that works. And if that works well, we might put this back in with a higher concentration of blue. Look at those blues. So here we are, the next week actually. I put in 5 milligrams of the Saxon Blue, so it looks pretty blue in there. And we're gonna over dye one of the skeins from last week. If you remember, the yellow and the pink barely changed at all, and the white is just looks kind of greenish gray, hardly anything. So we put in 5% weight of fiber, and this is non-superwash. So we're gonna see if maybe it was just not having enough dye material to change the color. Okay, here we are the next day, and we're ready to check out our Saxon Blue. It sat overnight after adding vinegar, and we're gonna see if that made a difference. Oh no, it didn't. It's still all blue, and it's still pink and yellow instead of purple and green. All right, this is gonna take a little bit of investigating, and we'll try to figure out what is going on. Stay tuned. Here is the skein that had the cochineal and fustic, and then we put it in 3% copper. And here's the one that had the cochineal and fustic, and we over dyed it with 3% Saxon. So the Saxon really didn't change the red and yellow very much at all. It did make the white go to an aqua, but I was expecting more of these colors. So I put it back in with 5% weight of fiber of the Saxon Blue, and it's slightly more purple, more green here. The yellow hasn't really changed a whole lot. Here they are in the sunlight. 3% copper over dye, 3% Saxon over dye, 3% Saxon over dye, followed by another 5%. So I'm thinking that this over dye process is going to need a lot more Saxon to make the purples and greens than our copper is. So we're going to put these in the window for light fast testing and show you the results next month.